Welcome to another You Bijou Tangle session. Last week we did Maria's version of Flux, and I thought it might be fun this week to do Rick's version of Flux. And we might play in a couple different ways with this. So let's start with our gratitude and appreciation. Today I have my hands on my knees. I'm sitting in a chair with my knees stacked over my ankles, my shoulders stacked over my hips. I'm gently closing my eyes or softening my gaze. I have all my supplies in front of me and I'm ready to go. So I'm going to take a moment and just take a few breaths. And today I want to set the intention to listen to my body. I want to just notice if I'm comfortable, notice if there's any areas of tension that I could maybe just soften by just taking a few breaths with intention. And inviting my shoulders to move away from my ears. Inviting a softening in my tissues, and setting the intention that my ego step aside so that I can receive guidance, protection, grounding, and even healing for the best and highest good as we navigate this tangling practice today. So taking your time, setting any intentions that you'd like to set for your practice today, and then getting ready to drop into this monotangle on this bijou tile where we're going to do Rick's version of Flux. So again, I have my usual supplies, my soft graphite pencil and my tortillon, which I'll set aside, and then my Micron 01. Actually, I need the pencil, not the pen first. So we're going to start with the corner dots that we do for our tiles. I'm just turning my tile, placing the dots, and then connecting these dots on the tile. And I think for our string today, I will draw two borders just on two edges. So we have like a bigger stripe in the middle and smaller stripes on the sides to show you Rick's version. We're going to play with this one just a little bit today. So we have our corner dots, our border, and our string, and now we get to tangle. And I want to start by using Rick's version of Flux as a border and to show you what that might look like. So Rick's version of Flux is like this little raindrop shape with a line and a dot. And I'm going to turn my towel back and forth so I can connect these little raindrop shapes or teardrop shapes along this edge so you can see how this tangle could be used as a border. Fill in that last space. And then if you wanted to, we could do the usual and add orbs. You could also add, maybe I'll do it one on each side. And you can decide. You can do it the same way or you can follow along. I'm just showing you two different examples of the ways that you could sort of finish this border. So you could aura that inside or you could add orbs. And then I'll do the same thing on the other side, turning my tile, drawing this row of these raindrop shapes. Sometimes I make them a little more curvy like this. And sometimes they're more straight like that. Both just fine. However they come onto your tile today is okay. Just enjoying the process of trying Rick's version of Flux. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to have the aura on the outside and the orbs on the inside. So I'm just going to go ahead and aura first. And then I'm going to create orbs in these other spaces. And then on the inside here, we'll play with Rick's version of Flux in a different way. In a way where we're just going to fill this whole space with Flux. And maybe I'm gonna trace this line with my pen. Maybe not the whole border, but I want to trace the pencil line string that we drew, and then this one I would like to aura. So I'm going to do that same thing on the other side, connecting the edge of the borders that we drew, and then adding an aura. And that gives us space to now start with Flux. And maybe I draw this version of Flux here a little bit bigger. Maybe we have some, a couple of Flux on the edge. Maybe I draw another one coming this way. Place an orb in the center there. And then we can just play with what direction do we want to go with our Flux. I'm going to do one like that. Maybe I'll have one coming off this way. And this is where your tile might start looking very different from mine, and that is perfectly okay. There is not a right or a wrong way to do this. We're just using this Flux shape to explore with filling in this space. So maybe I'll do another one like I did over here, where it sort of connects those two shapes. Maybe over here I'll have this one come this way. Really playing with how they land on the tile. I'm actually kind of liking how that looks. I think I might do another one out here and another one out there and then see where it lands. But we don't have to fill this whole space. We could aura, we could leave it alone. There's a lot of different ways we could do this. Connect that one to the edge, add an orb. I think I'm going to add another one here, connect it to the edge, add an orb, and I'm feeling like I want like a little splash up that way, and then another one that kind of comes this way. This is what happens when I draw Flux. I tend to keep going and fill the space. I find it a fun and relaxing tangle to do where I don't really have to think too terribly hard. So in looking at it now, I see I can squeeze in or place in two more, and it will fill the whole space. And I feel like that will look, will be appealing. So there we've filled the whole space with Flux. If you stopped down here, that's totally okay. You could aura in the top space. You could leave it untangled, so to speak. I am going to now switch from my pen to my tortillon and my pencil, and we'll do some shading. To start with, I think I would like to enhance this pencil line on the top and the bottom where I did not use my pen, and just invite that graphite to pull away a little bit from that border that we drew. Doing the same thing on the other side. And then I would like this border that we drew to be shaded so that it looks like this Flux is almost like tucked in behind there. Not really pulling it out too terribly far. I just want it to have a light shade underneath where we drew that border. I'm feeling a little bit like we could put another border on the outside, but I'm also, let's just see what happens. I'm also feeling like we could leave it alone. There's a part of me that feels like I want that extra border, and I kind of like the idea of it being open because we can close it off with the shadow versus the hard line of the pen, just like we did over here. So I'm going to take my tortillon and just extend that out a little bit. But I'm not feeling really like I want to shade on the outside of those borders. So I think I'm just going to leave that alone. And so Sometimes with Flux, I'll go ahead and just like take my tortillon that already has some graphite on it and move in on these little lines that we drew. But most of the time, I actually enjoy Flux as it is. If you want to see how it would look if it's a little bit darker, you can add a little graphite there and kind of pull it out a little bit. But usually when I draw Flux, I choose not to do that. I actually like it with less shading. So I'm going to leave these without shading at all. And then this inner one, I might just make these edges just a smidgy darker. I want that to be really shaded, that's tucked under there. Turning my tile, doing that same thing. And you can see the shading there. And then this side feels up. I'm happy with this side up. And I need to decide where I would like to put my M, my chop, because we're to the initial and sign part. And I think I'm going to put it in this Flux right here. There's kind of this opening. It's going to cover the dot, and I'm okay with that. And then dangle the heart. And then on the other side, signing our tangle, initialing and signing, and the date. And the tangle is Flux Rick's version. And our series is YOU Bijou. So now in the appreciation part of this tangle, of this tile, I would like to take a moment and just appreciate the tile itself, but then also put my hands back on my knees, close my eyes or soften my gaze, and just take a moment and pause and notice my body again. Notice if there's been a softening. Notice if the tension has changed at all. And offering gratitude for the softness that I'm feeling in the now. I do feel a release. I feel like there's less tension in my body. I feel more calm and at peace. And I'd love to hear how you're feeling after today's practice. Thanks for joining me. Bye.